There is a certain kind of person who cancels plans and then feels a wave of relief so powerful it almost feels spiritual. Not because they dislike people, not because they are unfriendly, but because staying home feels like oxygen. If that sounds like you've probably heard it before. You need to get out more. You're missing out. You're wasting your life inside. But what if the opposite is true? What if the people who genuinely love staying at home aren't avoiding life, but actually protecting something far more valuable? Here's what most people misunderstand. Loving your own space is not laziness, it's not social fear, and it's definitely not a lack of ambition. Psychology has a lot to say about this. Studies on introversion, particularly those influenced by Carl Jung's early theories and later expanded by modern personality research, show that some people recharge internally rather than externally. Social interaction consumes energy for them. Solitude restores it. And restoration is not weakness, it's maintenance. But here's where it gets deeper. People who love staying home often experience something psychologists call stimulus sensitivity. Their nervous systems process information more intensely. Noise, crowds, constant interaction, it doesn't just feel busy, it feels overwhelming. So when they choose home, they are choosing regulation. They are choosing calm over chaos. And there's something quietly powerful about that. Think about it. Home is the only environment most of us fully control. The lighting, the temperature, the sounds, the pace. In a world that constantly demands reaction, home offers reflection. That matters more than we admit, because reflection builds identity. People who enjoy staying home often spend more time thinking, processing, creating internal narratives, daydreaming, imagining alternate futures, analyzing conversations long after they've ended. Yes, sometimes overanalyzing, but that same depth fuels creativity. Many writers, designers, coders, artists, and thinkers thrive in solitude. Research has repeatedly shown that creative insight often emerges during quiet, low-stimulation states. You don't have breakthroughs in the middle of a loud crowd. You have them while washing dishes, or staring at the ceiling, or sitting alone with your thoughts at 10:47 p.m. But here's the part nobody talks about. Sometimes staying home isn't just about comfort. It's about safety, not physical danger, emotional safety. When you are home, you are not performing. You are not adjusting your tone. You are not calculating responses. You are not managing impressions. You just are. And for people who feel deeply, that is priceless. But there's a hidden tension here, because the same mind that craves solitude also craves connection. And that contradiction creates something fascinating. The home-loving mind often wants meaningful relationships, just not constant ones. Depth over volume. One real conversation over 10 shallow interactions. They don't want the party. They want the after-party conversation in the kitchen. And here's where it becomes even more interesting. The world rewards visibility, but the home rewards authenticity. So what happens when someone values authenticity more than applause? That's where everything shifts, and that's where the psychology gets even more powerful. Because when you choose authenticity over applause, you start living from the inside out instead of the outside in, and that changes everything. People who genuinely love staying at home often score higher in what psychologists call self-referential processing. In simple terms, they think about their own thoughts. They observe themselves observing, they replay conversations, they question their reactions. They build inner worlds that feel as vivid as the outer one. To someone who thrives on constant activity, that might look like overthinking. But in reality, it is internal exploration. And internal exploration builds emotional intelligence. Research in personality psychology consistently shows that individuals comfortable with solitude tend to develop stronger self-awareness. They know what drains them. They know what excites them. They know when something feels misaligned. That clarity doesn't come from constant noise. It comes from quiet calibration. But here's the twist. Staying home can also become a shield, not always in a dramatic way, sometimes subtly. When you stay inside, you avoid awkward small talk, you avoid unpredictable outcomes, you avoid the tiny social risks that come with being seen. And humans are wired to avoid uncertainty. So, how do you know whether your love for home is restoration or avoidance? The difference is how you feel afterward. If you stay home and feel recharged, creative, centered, that's alignment. If you stay home and feel restless, disconnected, slightly disappointed in yourself, that might be fear disguised as comfort. And that distinction matters, because loving home should feel like expansion, not contraction. There's something else fascinating here. Modern life is overstimulating in ways our nervous systems were never designed for. Notifications, traffic, artificial lighting, endless comparison through screens, social expectations that never truly pause. For some people, home becomes the only place where their brain finally lowers its volume. And when the volume lowers, something beautiful happens. You hear yourself, your real preferences, your real opinions, your real pace, and pace is everything. Some people sprint through life and feel alive. Others walk slowly and feel alive. The problem begins when someone walking slowly is told they should be sprinting. People who love staying home often move at a reflective pace. They savor shows. They reread messages. They rearrange furniture just because it feels right. They build small rituals, tea at night, specific blankets, favorite playlists, and those rituals become anchors. Rituals are psychologically grounding. They reduce stress and increase a sense of control. That's not accidental, that's neurological. But perhaps the most misunderstood truth is this. Staying home does not mean shrinking your world. It can mean curating it. You can build businesses from home, learn languages from home, maintain deep friendships from home, read hundreds of books from home, fall in love from home. The physical radius may be small, but the mental universe can be enormous, and maybe that's the real psychology of it. Home lovers are not afraid of the world. They simply refuse to let the world dictate their internal weather. They choose calm on purpose. They choose depth on purpose. They choose a smaller circle so their energy doesn't fracture into 1,000 pieces. And in a culture that constantly glorifies more events, more noise, more visibility, choosing less can feel rebellious. But sometimes less is where clarity lives. So if you are someone who feels relief when plans get cancelled, if your ideal Friday night involves comfort and quiet instead of crowds, if your mind feels brightest when the room is still, there is nothing wrong with you. You are not missing life. You are experiencing it inwardly. And maybe that's the quiet superpower no one talks about. Because when you are comfortable alone, you are never truly lonely. You become your own safe place. And in a world that rarely slows down, that might be one of the strongest psychological advantages of all.